Tonight, Energy Ministry fights back against allegations it is suppressing publication of a nationwide doomsday timetable as it lays out clear timelines for completion of various power sector projects across the country. With a total investment of more than $298 million. We hear from the NDC minority who are standing their ground on the power outages.
Gridco is willing to publish that management schedule, but the executive has insisted that they do not publish that schedule. And so the ordinary Ghanaian is having to bear the brunt of these intermittent outages and its accompanying challenges with distraction to gadgets.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
And Top Story is always brought to you by Gasem Cement, the nation builder. Also brought to you by Vodafone. Well, they had been accused of suppressing the publication of a nationwide doomsday timetable. Well, tonight, the Energy Ministry is fighting back in a 5-page response. The ministry details how government is investing a total of $298 million into various projects to stabilize power supply to your homes and businesses. Now, the ministry has also been detailing clear timelines for completion of the projects following confusion brought by conflicting accounts, mainly by Gridco and ECG, of when the projects will be completed. Well, yesterday we had a minority NDC press conference on the power sector challenges addressed by John Jinapo, who is the ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee in Parliament, which is what had prompted this 5-page response from the Energy Ministry. Listen to the argument.
More recently, you would also recall that the Union of the Electricity Company of Ghana embarked on an industrial action demanding the removal of their managing director, citing incompetence, duplicity, and total lack of understanding of the power distribution company. Indeed, we've all witnessed a lot of agitation within the ECG. We are also picking similar signals at NEDCO. There was a similar one at VRA where the unional staff issued a threat. And we are also hearing that all is not well at Bui Power. It is therefore clear that Ghana's energy sector is in a state of crisis. As if that is not enough, the ECG, Gridco, and the Honorable Minister himself has been providing conflicting timelines on when this debilitating power crisis will be resolved. What is even more disturbing is that despite confirmation from Gridco a couple of weeks ago that the country would continue to experience these power outages into the foreseeable future, for which reason they promised to publish a load management schedule, the anticipated schedule has been put on hold due to political pressure from the executive. Gridco is willing to publish that management schedule, but the executive has insisted that they do not publish that schedule.
Well, joining me right now in the studio with the details from this statement that the Energy Ministry has issued tonight in response to all that you've heard is my colleague, Kweku. Let's go through that. Let's start with the details regarding the minorities' allegations surrounding the changing timelines. That has been an issue. We've actually highlighted it on Top Story as well ourselves. The Energy Ministry in this statement provides some clarity on when the various projects will complete. Let's start with the first major project, which is causing the subject of a lot of the controversy, which is the Pokwase bulk supply project. When is it completing?
Right. So, Evans, according to this Energy Ministry statement, the bulk power supply point, PPS, being constructed at Pokwase in the Greater Accra region is 95% complete and on schedule for handover to the government by the end of July 2021. And this is something they are maintaining. They go ahead to talk about the Kaswa bulk supply point, which they say 60% of construction work has so far been done on a 50 million gas insulated switchgear substation, with engineers assuring the minister that the infrastructure will be ready by the end of August this year.
Okay.
The one at Tema to Achimota line rehabilitation, they said the project, which is part of a nationwide rehabilitation of lines, started 3 years ago under the Agence de France de Développement, financing of $173 million, and is expected to be completed by September 2021.
Okay.
So they say it is expected that by the end of 2021, all these and other projects would have come to fruition and the power situation would have been resolved. The different conclusion date for the various projects cannot by any stretch of the imagination be construed to mean that different and contradictory dates have been issued when the power situation will be resolved.
Now, another key problem in this whole conversation around the power outages had been, so what really are the causes for the power outages that you may be experiencing in your homes right now? This statement clarifies that. It gives us a total of 5 reasons why we are having the current power outages. Let's go through that. What are they?
So they start from Kumasi, one of the parts of the country that have been hard hit by these intermittent power outages, and say feeder outages since the beginning of the year. There have been some intermittent outages. Feeder outages in Kumasi are rising from low water levels in the Bui Dam enclave.
Okay, so that's one. So that's for Kumasi, feeder outages.
Yes,
low water in Bui.
And you
is a
realize
reason.
that now they don't say that Bui Dam has been shut down like they said in the past.
Which was a fundamental controversy that got the
Bui
chief executive
CEO to come out and say that they had not shut down. So they say one Bui is picking plan for transmission services to Ashanti, Bono, and they continue to explain. They say that the Prestia Obuasi transmission line trips, leading to a total system shutdown. That trip affected other adjacent lines. This curtailed supply and caused the system shutdown. Third, gas flow challenges upstream are rising from challenges in the WAPCO supply line. And the fourth, gas compressor fault reported by the Ghana Gas Company. And then finally, localized outages within the distribution chain.
Let's speak to Mr. John Junapo. He addressed our press conference yesterday. Joins me on the telephone line right now. Mr. Junapo, let's start with the fundamental issue that the Energy Ministry has with your statement yesterday, that there's some suppression of the willingness on the part of the power sector players to publish a nationwide schedule. Ministry says that is not the case because, one, a timetable has already been published for the areas specifically that will be affected. Hello, Mr. Junapo.
Hello.
Yes. Can you hear me?
I think it's a bit better now.
Yes, great. I'm saying that first of all, the ministry is denying the claim that there is a suppression of the attempt to publish a nationwide timetable.
Okay, let me deal with that quickly. Part of the country soon to witness load shedding between April and June. This is Gridco. Mr. Ebenezer Amankwa, the corporate communications manager of Gridco, who confirmed this in a media interview in Accra, said the load shedding schedule would enable both the ECG and the Gridco to inform their customers ahead of the outages. He said this on 30th of March. I didn't say, look, everything we say, the source document is from this energy sector SOEs. He granted an interview to your media house and said that the problem was not going to be over soon. So they will publish a schedule so that affected customers will be pre-informed so they can plan their lives.
But they have published a schedule for the May outages that we are anticipating on the 10th of May.
No, he is saying April to June. He is saying that April to June. The May one is just the bulk supply point at Pokuase and Malam, which we initiated and started under the Millennium Challenge Corporation. The ministry has issued a statement to claim that they are doing it to salvage the situation. That project was not to salvage any situation. It was to consolidate the gains we have made. You've inherited a project from the Mahama administration. Instead of you to continue with it, you are telling us that you are initiating it to salvage a situation. What situation? What situation are you salvaging?
The military has...
That is the MCC program that we signed. The one that through their own duplicity and complexity, we lost $190 million because of the PDS scandal.
Listen to the ministry's response on the general other related timetable, for example. He says that Kaswa is yet to be published and shall be released at the appropriate time when the necessary arrangements and consultations with the relevant stakeholders have taken place. So they haven't finished consultation.
Evans, I'm sorry, you might lose me. The Kaswa one is a restricted area, just within the Kaswa environment. And it means that we're just switching over to the new bulk supply point. There's outages all over the country. People are complaining. And you want to use an isolated microcosm of Kaswa to try and justify what is happening across the whole country. What does Kaswa's bulk supply point got to do with Kumasi? What has that got to do with Volta region? What has that got to do with Tamale? Can we be sincere? What is all this? The Kaswa one is May 10th, is that not it? Are we not experiencing outages today? Is GRIDCO not confirming? Did the minister himself not say that it's because of Bui Dam? Because Bui Dam is not producing, they don't have adequate supply. Is that not it? If you don't have adequate supply, what do? You certainly knock some people off. And if you want to knock them off, pre-inform them so that they can prepare. The issue of conflicting information is the minister who said it's due to Bui Dam. The Bui Dam chief executive came out and said that what the minister said is not true and that he was being misled by GRIDCO. I didn't say that. We didn't say that. Look, everything we said, the source document is either from the ministry or from the energy sector SOE. The issue of financing is the GRIDCO chief executive who said in March 2018 that they didn't have money because of the reduction President Akufo-Addo announced. And that if nothing is done, we'll have load shedding. I didn't say that.
But all these projects have ready available funding, so there's no issue there.
No.
Right?
The 173 that they mentioned, the Agence France Development Project, we initiated it. The funding was secured. Because of their political machination and interference, GRIDCO's finances became so worse, AFDB suspended the project.
The minister denies that. The ministry denies that. He says the only reason the only reason
from the Minister of Finance
the ministry
when
says
he appeared before Parliament. I'll forward it to you.
It says the delay.
Of the document, the minister concedes the Minister of Finance before Parliament. Not what the minister is saying on air. This is a parliamentary document signed by the minister. That because of that, the project delayed for 2 years.
Well, just
quote that paragraph
for the avoidance of doubt, I want to read their response to that. And it says the principal reason for the halt in the loan disbursement by the AFD was to pave way for the agency's access to a government guarantee. The projects have all resumed following the provision of the necessary requirements needed by the French Development Agency.
Look, I'm saying that I have the document from the minister to Parliament. You can't lie when you come to Parliament. Then the minister must really read some of this document. In fact, I can speak to you, I'm trying to open the document so that I will read that paragraph. We deal with evidence, not just hearsay. This is a parliamentary record. When he came to switch it from GRIDCO's own balance sheet to a government guarantee, he confirmed to us that the funding was withheld. So the 2 year delay. There's a 2 year delay. What led to that?
The absence of the bank guarantee.
What led to the delay?
You reject that as the absence of a bank guarantee?
Because the facility was awarded. Yes, I've just gotten. The facility was awarded on the balance sheet of GRIDCO, and they were doing well. It was only when their balance sheet deteriorated because of the ratios. Then AFDB said, look, your finances are so bad, we can no longer disburse the money. And I'm telling you that there's an official document I'll forward to you. Please, I will highlight all those provisions and where the minister concedes. I'm talking to the Minister of Finance who provided the guarantee in 2019 when he appeared before Parliament to ask for the guarantee. He was categorical that this problem is arisen because of the tariff issue. GRIDCO's financing was so bad, they no longer can accommodate that facility. Look, everything I say, Evans, I will give you the primary document, I will give you the page, the paragraph, and the page number. I mean, what he's saying is absolutely false. I'm surprised that he can even have the audacity to say that. I'm shell-shocked. When he knows that there's evidence, and there's documentary evidence, signed by the Minister of Finance, the same way this morning, Energy Commission issued a statement that their budget was not slashed. I just issued a statement and copied. I just photocopied the relevant portions of the energy sector levies account of 2008 as submitted to Parliament by Mr. Kenoforeta. Take that document, look at page 21, page 26, and page 27. They got only 37%. Why are they doing this? That is why we are in this mess. Even when there's evidence, glaring evidence, they still want to dribble around it. I can't get it. I'm shocked.
On the subject of the timelines for the completion, which has become a big issue for many people because people want to plan with their lives, in this statement, they offer some clarity. But Pokwase bulk supply, they are emphatic, will be completed July. Kaswa Borg will be completed August. Tema Achimota, September. Does that settle the matter for you?
It doesn't, because the Pokwase bulk supply point doesn't affect Kumasi. He is saying that the dam in Bui is down. Is that not it? So
Yes.
if you finish works on the Pokwase supply point, how does it affect the people of Kumasi?
No, but it doesn't. I mean, they say the bulk supply point being constructed at Pokwase in the Greater Accra region.
Constructing a bulk supply point shouldn't even lead to load shedding. When you finish constructing and then you are switching, then you can inform customers that I'm switching. So give me 1 week, 10 days. I say I agree with that. I'm not going to argue on that. But the power outages keeps going on and off, especially this very year. It's so bad that consumers are complaining, and you are telling us that there's a Pokwase bulk supply point. What with the data of respect? What kind of cock and bull story is this? When you finish the bulk supply point,
And
it
the
means
time.
that you are now transferring load to the bulk supply point. Then there can be some interruption. But when you are constructing a transformer, how does that lead to interruption of power?
Well, I mean, if you look at the statement, they also they give 5 reasons why we are having the outages, and one of them includes localized outages within distribution chain. So that could account for the reason why we are having the power
So
outages.
inform the customers. Simple as that. They consider there's been localized outage. So it's not because of this bulk supply point. As for the bulk supply point, because they will be switching, they've informed us. What about the other outages you are engaging? Because the feeders are overloaded. There's congestion on the grid. And if there's congestion, there are 2 ways. Either you cut back, that is by putting people off, or the system would detect it and shut off. And that's what we are witnessing. Because the transmission lines can no longer absorb the load. 2 years they've been sleeping. 4 years they've been doing nothing except complaining. Only to turn around this year and tell us that we need additional capacity in terms of generation. So if you don't improve the system, the demand would catch up with the line. And those demands do not spike in a day. It takes some time. Gridco doesn't have the money. That is the truth. At a point in time, they couldn't even pay their workers. Why are we denying all this? Why are we deceiving ourselves as a nation? Look at this. You read the statement. It's so laughable. Who signed the statement?
Mr. Jinapo, I'm grateful that you joined me. That is John Jinapo. He is the ranking member on the Mines and Energy Committee. He asked the question who signed it. Of course, it's from the Energy Ministry's Communications and Public Affairs Department. They have been unavailable to join this conversation to offer clarity on the questions that had come up. When we do get them, of course, we'll get and ask them the questions to clarify. But let me bring in the meantime energy analyst, Mr. Kojopoku, who is also with me on the telephone line right now. Mr. Kojopoku, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
All right, thank you. Good evening.
I know together with civil society, you asked a series of questions and brought together the players to get to the bottom of it. This is the first time we're seeing a very detailed statement from the Energy Ministry detailing what the reasons are and what solutions are being prescribed to it, giving us timelines. Does it address for you the myriad of questions that had emerged? Does it settle the questions?
If you have been following what's going on, I mean, there's nothing that the Ministry of Energy has come to tell us that has not been said at a forum that we organized. Or for me, it's a rehash of the situation that we know. So for me, you see, let me please clarify something. And my brother, Honorable Jinapo, said something which I really think is very unfair to the young man at Gridco. Okay, look, the young man, Mr. Mankwa, gave an interview on 3 News, okay, on the 3 FM. And he said that Gridco was consulting with ECG to come up with a timetable to areas that will be affected on lights off. And the conversation he was referring to was the Pokuase and the Kaswa outages that was going to happen. So the conversation and what the gentleman said on 3 News was in relation to the Pokuase and Kaswa, where he said that Gridco is having a conversation with ECG to come up with an outage for those areas or for the affected areas. The gentleman did not say that Gridco was consulting with ECG to come up with timelines for the entire nation or for anything else apart from the Gridco conversation which they've already had with regards to Pokuase and Kaswa. So for my brother to make it sound like Gridco has come to say one thing and the ministry is saying something different is really unfair, because I think the media that we took what the gentleman said out of whack. And basically that is why most of the times when the media want to talk to some of these people, they don't want to talk, because whenever they say something, somebody will take it out of context.
One of the other issues that had emerged was the question about the timelines for the completion of the projects. In this statement, the ministry is clarifying when each project will be complete. Of course, then aids in the planning. But also, there's also the big concern about Bui, for example. I'm sure you heard it. The concern that the authority had with the assertion that the Bui was shut down. There's no clarity on that in this statement, but I think what it is it not that what it is now, Bui is not operating at full capacity and it's around 80-90%. That is a fact, correct?
Yes, it is. I'm sure you spoke to Mr. Finowari and he made that assertion that Bui doesn't have enough water in the dam, and as a result, they're not at full capacity. I think he said that they were doing something like 90 megawatts out of the 400 megawatts that they could do. Now, like I said earlier, some of us that have been following the conversation, we knew the timelines that were being put out there were for different projects that were going on. But if you don't follow the conversation and you hear September, you hear June, you hear July, you think that people are giving different timelines for the same project. But because there are multiple projects going on across the country, depending on what the project the person is discussing, that person will give a different timeline. Look, we have all said that there is a myriad of problems going on that is giving us the situation that we are in now. It's not one specific problem. And the various projects going on, we hope, will go a long way to basically solve the situation that we find ourselves in. For me, I think that the press conference my brother Jenapo gave was an advice and something that complements what the ministry is doing. I mean, I read the 10 points and I don't see, anywhere that there is a disagreement with the government position. I even said yesterday on a different platform that I'm sure if the minister knew that was what he was going to say, the minister would send next to Honorable Jenapo and give that advice. If you look at the 10 points, the only bit where there is always a disagreement between a ruling party and opposition is whether what is going on is technical or financial. And that, for me, is really not the point. The point is...
Yeah, but that has always been a controversy. With your expert eye, what is the problem? Technical or financial?
Well, the problem is depending who is in power. I mean, when during 2012 to 2016, we technical people, the civil society said it was technical. The then MPP, when opposition, said it was financial. Then they came into power, and then whenever there is a technical challenge, the NDC that is now in opposition says it's financial. So what is saying is technical. So look, I have a very simple solution and a very simple explanation. When you are in the problem, right now that lights are going off, okay? Bulk supply points are tripping. Even if Ministry of Finance gives you $1 billion today, you can solve it because you need to solve it over a period of time. So it is not a quick fix. We need to have a system where we have a very yearly upgrade of our infrastructure. A systematic investment in our energy infrastructure is what we need. Now, if that is not done, and somebody attribute that to the fact that the government doesn't have money to put into certain sector of the economy, everybody in this country knows that government doesn't have all the money because all the sectors are looking for the same scarce resources. So finance, education, agri, health, everybody's looking for the same small budget that we have. So yes, we have a financial problem because we don't have enough money to go around to all our sectors. But for me, when we are in such a problem, it is not like before when you say that, okay, there isn't crude oil because government couldn't procure crude. That's not the situation we are in now. So that financial, technical football the two parties play, it's their own thing that they do. But for me, what do we care? I mean, I don't know that we are in the problem. There is
and you ask the question. I mean, for the ordinary person, I simply want my lights on. I mean, whether technical or financial. Kojopuko, I'm grateful that you joined us with your thoughts. Your details of that 5-page statement is on myjoyonline.com. Get it, read it for yourself, understand why your power may be going off and on, as the ministry says, as they roll out these projects to address the challenges. Newsnight starts in 2 minutes.